Princess Selene had been raised in the most luxurious palace on the planet Vashner, a world known for its opulence, grand cities, and the unquestioned power of its ruler, King Thaler. The king's reign was built on fear, and fear alone. The citizens bowed to his every whim, obeyed his commands without question, and knew better than to defy him. To the king, power was everything, and those who were weak were to be cast aside, forgotten, or destroyed. Selene, the only heir to the throne, had been shaped in her father's image. The king's ruthless ways had been passed down to her, but unlike him, Selene had always felt an unsettling empathy for the weak and the downtrodden. This empathy, however, was a dangerous trait for a future ruler, and her father made sure to mold her into a ruler who would inspire fear, not mercy. Yet, deep down, Selene could never quite bring herself to fully embrace the cruelty that defined her father's rule. One day, as Selene stood in the palace courtyard, her father approached her with an enigmatic smile on his face. "Selene," King Thaler said with a mocking tone, "you have grown into a fine young woman, but you are far too soft. You still lack the strength to rule this kingdom with an iron fist." Selene stood tall, her expression hardened, but her heart heavy. "I am not soft, father. I simply believe there are other ways to rule, ways that do not require cruelty." Her father's eyes narrowed. "You are naive, my dear. There is no place for softness in a world that only respects power. To teach you this lesson, I have arranged something special for you. It is time for you to truly understand what it means to wield power." With a swift gesture, King Thaler motioned to his guards. They stepped forward, dragging a weak, frail human captive before Selene. The man was barely conscious, his body thin and covered in bruises, his clothes ragged. His eyes were dull, and he appeared to be a mere shadow of the person he once was. "This," the king declared with mockery, "is your gift, Selene. A weak, pitiful human. You will train him, mold him, and transform him into something stronger. But I warn you, do not get too attached to him. He is nothing but a tool, a plaything for your training." Selene's heart sank. The human in front of her was barely alive, and she knew her father only saw him as a pawn in some cruel game. Yet, something within her refused to treat him as her father had instructed. She kneeled beside the man and gently touched his hand. His eyes flickered open, and Selene saw the despair in his gaze. "Who are you?" she whispered. "My name is Liam," the man croaked, his voice weak but clear. I was taken from my home. I don't want to be part of this." Selene's heart ached for him. She saw the pain in his eyes, the helplessness in his posture. But she also saw something else, something that flickered behind his despair. There was a quiet strength buried deep within him, a will to survive, even in the face of unimaginable suffering. "You don't have to be a tool for my father's games," she said softly. "I can help you. I will not turn you into something you are not, but I can teach you how to fight back. I can help you become stronger, not for him, but for yourself." Liam looked at her, disbelief flashing in his eyes. "You would help me?" he asked, his voice hoarse. "Why? I'm nothing. I'm weak." Selene smiled gently. "We all have potential, Liam. Sometimes it just takes the right person to unlock it." Over the course of weeks, Selene worked with Liam. She pushed him, not with cruelty, but with fierce determination. She took him through the palace's grand training halls, where the finest warriors and strategists honed their skills. But her methods were unorthodox. Instead of brutal drills and cruel punishment, Selene focused on nurturing Liam's strength and potential. She taught him to fight with precision, to control his fear, and to embrace his inner power. At first, Liam struggled. His body was weak, his movements slow and uncoordinated. But Selene saw something in him that no one else had ever seen, an unwavering resolve, a quiet determination to push past his limitations. With time, his body grew stronger. His reflexes sharpened. His mind, once clouded by fear, became a weapon in itself. As Liam's transformation progressed, so did his relationship with Selene. They spent hours together, not just training but talking. Liam began to understand the depths of the palace's cruelty, and Selene began to see just how far her father's power had corrupted everything it touched. Yet, through it all, Selene remained steadfast in her belief that Liam was not just a tool to be used. He was a partner, a reflection of what true strength could be when it was nurtured, not beaten into submission. Months passed, and Liam became a force to be reckoned with. His once weak body had become lean and muscular. His mind, once fogged by hopelessness, was now razor-sharp. He could now move with the precision of a seasoned fighter, his instincts sharp and his confidence unwavering. One day, King Thaler called for Selene and Liam to meet him in the Grand Hall. Selene knew the moment had come, the moment her father would see what she had accomplished with his gift. She entered the hall with Liam by her side, both of them standing tall, a stark contrast to the weak man who had once been cast aside like trash. "You've done well, Selene," her father said with a forced smile, though there was a flicker of surprise in his eyes. "But you still have much to learn. This human, this Liam, will never be more than a pawn, a weapon to wield at your disposal." Liam stepped forward, his voice steady but filled with a quiet power. "I am no one's pawn," he said, his eyes locking with the king's. "And I will never be used as a tool for cruelty again." The king's eyes narrowed, but there was no fear in Liam's voice, only defiance. Selene saw it, the quiet strength that had been awakened in him. He was no longer the weak, broken man who had been cast aside. He was something more, something her father could never control. King Thaler's anger boiled over. "You dare challenge me?" he roared, his voice shaking the room. "You are nothing but a human, and you, Selene, you've betrayed me with your foolish compassion." But Selene stood tall, her heart racing, but her resolve unshakable. "I haven't betrayed you, father. I've learned what true strength is. It's not about ruling through fear. It's about building others up, teaching them to rise, to be better than they were before. And Liam is stronger than you'll ever understand." Liam stepped forward, standing at Selene's side, no longer a tool of the king's wrath, but a partner in the fight for something greater. The king's fury was palpable, but Selene and Liam stood together, unyielding. "You've made a mistake, father," Selene said quietly. "And now it's time for the kingdom to change." The king, his fury consuming him, attempted to strike, but Liam was faster. With one swift move, he disarmed the king, a precise and calculated strike that rendered Thaler helpless before them. The king fell to his knees, his reign crumbling in the face of the power Selene had awakened in Liam. And so, with the fall of the tyrant king, a new era began. Selene, no longer a prisoner of her father's cruelty, took her rightful place as ruler of Zelthor, with Liam by her side as both a protector and a partner. Together, they would lead the kingdom into a future where strength was not measured by fear, but by compassion, and where the weak would no longer be discarded as trash, but raised up to their fullest potential.